I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everyone, again.
Morning.
Start of a new month. I don't know where this year is going again, like everything else. Okay, first is to approve the agenda.
So move.
Okay, Ross,
Second.
seconded by Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. On to the consent items.
Move.
Okay, Warren,
I'll second.
seconded by Ross. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, why don't we do the voting delegate for NACO right away?
Yeah, it sounds like Rich and I are the only ones going, and Rich has been designated in the past.
Mhm.
But discussing with him last night, he said all he does when he gets there is defer the vote to AMC, and then we vote with the AMC block. So we can put his name in again and do the same.
Same process.
Yeah.
Okay,
I move put Rich as delegate then.
okay.
I'll second.
Paul and Ross. Yeah, I was initially going, but things just were not working out well, and so I am not going. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, on to our forum. Paul.
Laurel, who was right after that, our last meeting. Laurel, everything's good there. They were in their new building. They didn't really review a whole lot of new issues or new topics, so that it was pretty informative. Everybody gave their reports. And then Tri-Valley, I missed Tri-Valley meeting. I had another commitment. And then West Central yesterday, once again, they're just moving, I think, in a very positive, direct order fashion. They're getting their priorities in line since we received some money finally. And I think that's just going forward. I got the hint yesterday that some of the other commissioners are excited about finding replacements, and so I don't know how long that'll take, but it'll be a good thing.
Mhm.
Kevin Campbell's running again in Clay County.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and I think Steve Jacobson said that
He's not running.
He's not running.
Mhm.
He had said he thought that appointees should be on there, not commissioners. So that I probably the direction you want to go as well.
I agree. I think at least by the end of the year, we should be considering that.
I sitting there yesterday, I was going, I should really be back in the office.
Yeah.
None of this has to do with.
Yeah, because it's finally to that point where they can just move forward.
Yeah.
So this court thing really helped it a lot. So,
Oh,
of course, the MC meeting, I was going to tell you I can't be there. I have an opportunity to go on a trip with my brother, so I'm going. The joint ditch we have next week in Red Lake Falls. Okay. Tri-Valley again next week. I did get some calls regarding the I don't know if you call it a feedlot, but the permit that hasn't been awarded yet. But the word is out there, but it's nothing negative. Just people want to know what's going on, and that's coming. So I talked to Paul after our meeting yesterday about that, and you gotta make sure everybody is in the know. So I followed
Mhm.
up with that gal that you called me about,
Okay.
and that's taken care of too, and she was very appreciative. I've known her for years, so it was a good deal. She's happy, her husband's happy. Um, just to follow up on this, I had it mixed up and I put it my schedule wrong, but it's the 16th, 10 a.m. We start, I think, in at that place.
10 or
Will you just
10:30.
send those?
I'll confirm, yeah, you'll get your packet for the meeting and it'll be in that
Okay,
too.
Mhm,
awesome,
mhm.
great.
What joint ditch meeting? are we talking about?
60 and 66 in Red Lake Falls.
That's,
July 9th.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a
I thought
month
that's
off.
June 15th.
I have it on
So we
June.
got a couple of them set up. Let me double check. all
Because the
of those,
June
but-
15th one is with Red Lake Falls.
Yeah, June
Or-
15th. There's
Yeah.
one, but not one next week.
Mm-mm,
Oh, the
it's the
Yeah,
15th.
15th.
it's the
and then-
15th. I'm sorry. Yes, it's the
Mhm.
week
The
before.
15th and then one on the 9th.
There
Yep.
is one on July 9th.
Yes. For the redetermination meeting.
Yeah, where's that one at?
That's in Red Lake Falls as well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Sorry.
Okay, do you have a
Wanted to make
time
sure
on
I
that?
had 'em like, wait, I'm gone next week. I thought I had all these on my
It's
calendar.
my book on the 15th.
Do you have a time for that redetermination?
Yeah, I believe it was 2 o'clock.
Okay,
Yep, 2 o'clock.
Same
In
place.
Red
then.
Lake Falls.
Yep, at the Red Lake Falls Community Center.
Oh, community center.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And at 2 o'clock.
Yep, and the one on the 15th is 1:30.
Yeah.
So. Okay. No, that's gonna be an interesting day. Warren,
Oh, I had a couple of meetings last night, yes, last week were canceled.
Really?
Lack of business.
Hmm.
Pine Prairie Drug Task Force
oh yeah, that's right, yep.
and the Transportation Advisory Committee, it's part of Northwest Regional Development Commission. That one, I've been chair of that one for years, so,
Is that the one that Tim?
yeah.
Okay,
Then I was, of course, at the watershed meeting, or the water district meeting yesterday, took a bunch of notes there. One side issue there is the bridge in, and I'll talk to Rich when he gets here today, bridge in Climax, there was some confusion about if they're gonna do anything and what they're
Railroad
gonna
bridge.
do, and
The
the
railroad.
railroad bridge, yes. And,
I came back, I have a packet on that on my desk. I haven't read it yet, but I mean, it's clear that's what it's about.
okay, but the other bridges, somebody asked me about the highway bridge too. There's some decision has to be made whether it's gonna be a replacement or some a repair type of thing. And I think it was all scheduled for a replacement, and I don't remember the dollar amount, but it was significant. It was 16 million or something in that area.
He'll be in and he's got the bridge investment program
Yeah,
on the agenda, so.
but anyway, we'll talk about that then. But on the water district, they may be able to bid late this fall for the climax to Neelsville portion of the bridge. That has been funded by a USDA grant. I don't remember the amount there. I think it was about 1 million, but I don't remember. I asked that question yesterday and Lucas didn't even know what it was. So
Yeah, okay, good.
Was-
Mm.
he said 600,000, but I don't think that was the right number. Anyway, one of the things in the night, line from Climax to Neelsville, they're looking to increase the size of that from 8-inch to 12-inch, and they're looking for some more funding in that area. And that would probably be placed on they said, the left side of the railroad tracks. Well, left,
Yes.
I think if you're looking south, it's left. It's on the highway side. But, and then there's some issue there about sale of the property. And
Yeah.
Polk County might be interested in that, and Rich again will have some information on that one. But we'll see how that goes. That would be, if we get it, will probably be both for the water line and for the trail, a trail. And then, of course, we got the $5 million state bonding. And that, I believe, is a lot of that is earmarked for a line from Climax, from Neilsville to Beltrami.
Beltrami, right? Mm-hmm.
And that was Senator Johnson, that was his top request. And he requested 10 million and got 5. And they'll be looking for more money upcoming. Wilton County then, of course, is looking to join the organization.
Hmm.
And that's the county immediately south of Clay,
Mm-hmm.
along the Red River there. Uh,
That'd be kind of
and in,
noteworthy.
I don't know, there's some contracts for phase one cities done by the end of the summer. We'll see how that, I don't even understand what that is. And well, that's probably enough on that. I could go on longer. So it's enough on me.
Okay.
Oh, then today I have Northwest Regional Development Commission has quarterly meeting in Roseville at 4:00. So I'll be riding up there with Kathy Twite. She's on our social service board.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband and I are members of the same church and know each other for years. Kind of a strange relationship. She's a Catholic, goes to Sacred Heart. He's a Presbyterian, goes Presbyterian, and they get along just fine.
That's good.
And she volunteers for a lot of our projects too. So she's one of those helper types.
Oh, yeah.
And then I have a car appointment tomorrow morning, AMC on Thursday. I was in Allsted yesterday, so rack up my miles this week.
Well, now you know what my weeks are like.
Well, yeah, you could. Time's fine.
Okay, Ross.
No committee meetings, but I'm still getting a lot of calls concerning that county road I talked about at the last meeting, north of East Grand Forks, and it's getting how it got beat up so hard this spring. Just a lot of people want to make sure that they're aware that they're not happy about what's going on with that county road. And then I got a few calls about the feedlot Paul touched on. I also got a call from the farmer. Paul explained what was going on, wanted to make sure, just wants to be very sure that everyone knows they're not trying to just sneak something through. They want to have, sounds like they want to have a meeting possibly at the current feedlot with neighbors, and they want to invite us, and they want everyone to see it and stuff like that. I told them I think that's a really good idea. So I'm sure we'll be hearing something about that in the future. Other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah, well, that's the same as with, the dairy west of Phenomen.
Mhm.
That people, they just, they hear like the number of cows or whatever, and right away they're like, oh, that's terrible. And, all the smell and everything. And it's like, you go there and
You hardly know it exists.
no, because I mean, like always when we were milking, I mean, like when I came out of the barn, I smelled like the barn, but came out of that tour, and, you know, just seeing everything that they do to help protect, the water and the land. And I mean, they would not be successful if they did not do things the right way. So, but yeah.
On that water district, there's an issue there that's kind of been ragging on me for a while. Climax, I think they bonded for 1.2 million or something to get water to Climax. I'm thinking now, once the district gets formed, maybe the district should be taking over debt service on that expense.
Hmm.
That won't happen.
No, that's not.
Well, it's, it would only be fair because it's the water is coming through them.
Well, there'll be a charge, an
There'll be, yeah.
access charge, but the investment, that'll get analyzed and figured out what their share is. But remember, it was for their system as much as getting the water there. But
And they will benefit from the rates from that,
yeah,
from that as well. Their
Yeah.
rates will.
they will likely end up getting revenue
Mm-hmm.
from
Right.
further development
Further down.
to help pay the debt.
Mhm.
I don't think if you talk about West Central Regional, assuming the debt, you're talking about Polk, Norman, and Clay counties
Yep.
agreeing to that.
That'll
And
never happen.
I don't think that would be.
Mm-mm.
But because of their placement, they will in turn get some revenue from that backwards.
Mhm.
And that's how their so-called will be repaid in a way.
Well, and they still have their portion to pay for.
Yeah.
So
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm sure they'd like to hear from you, though. Climax people would.
I think it'd be only fair, because just for that, you get the water there.
Well,
You wouldn't get the water there without them, without their,
Well, initially, but aren't they going to run more lines from North Dakota? You know,
well, not through Climax.
no, but through.
Well, one through Halsted,
Mm-hmm.
or two Halsted.
I think that's why you have a district. They'll figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, I might bring that up at one of these meetings just to see where it lands.
I'm not going for.
I'm not gonna go to that meeting then. Just kidding.
Okay. So I had household hazardous waste. We decided to keep the county assessments the same as they have been for quite a few years. And we increased our pay for our intern, because actually the person that is helping this summer is someone who worked at the facility as an intern, I think 2 or 3 years ago. So I mean, he was able to just, you know, step back in and, you know, didn't have to go through like training and stuff. I mean, he had to go through his safety stuff, but you know, so it just increased his hourly wage. And then I had soil and water district. Yeah, there was, you know, there's still, I mean, like they're doing a lot with soil health, you know, like as far as cover crops and minimum tillage and all those type of things. But you know, they're finding that there's more interest out there, but now it's kind of like the funding, you know, how much is that going to be? And because like right now, you know, they're kind of at a hard stop because of the amount of funding that they have, and you know, hopefully that they'll be getting more to continue with those programs. Had planning and zoning, and Jake will be in later. Had a TZD meeting, kind of went over some of the seatbelt results from when we were at all the schools, and kind of talking like, what do we do with this information going forward? You know, are there certain, you know, like age groups, or is there a certain school that we need to, you know, concentrate on a little more and stuff. Then I had a MAFPA workforce meeting, continuing to go over our question and answer list that we were given by the state and by our state work group. AMC Finance. We did a lot of discussion in regards to our dues, and you know, it's, we want to be able to keep, you know, the staff we have now, because I mean they're excellent, and you know, they've got a reputation at the Capitol that, you know, is, you can't put a price tag on something like that. But we did come up with a recommendation that we will be presenting to the board, the AMC board, the end of this month. And then once that's finalized there, then the counties will be notified for it. Had extension meeting, went over the our area farm leader awards, and those awards will be presented at our county fair in July. And I need to talk to Ross about an opening that's on the advisory board
Or,
for extension. So,
I know we talked about, yeah.
yep. And then I had a MAFPA case review. We're still trying to come up with a template that counties can use when they get to the point of the case review for all the MAFPA cases. And then yesterday we had the MAFPA statewide work group, and actually a lot of that time we were spent with our subcommittees. But one thing is the state is going to be doing some listening sessions. They're planning on 3. It'll be virtual. Then they're talking about just a cap of like 30 people per each listening session, because they want to, kind of hear what, as far as resources and, what do counties think that they're going to need, to be able to do this program successfully. And so that 30 is going to include, like county plus, there's also going to be DCYF staff. And I said, if you're doing only 3, that's 90 spots. And that's only, if you strictly went all county, there's 87 counties. So that's only allowing 1 person, per county. And, every county is going to have more than 1 person that's going to be working on this new law. So, we tried to get them to seriously rethink and look at how they're planning these sessions. And then, I did get calls on the proposed hog operation, and also on the road project that we have by Winger. And okay, we mentioned that we've got our district meeting in Hallock on Thursday. That starts at 8 o'clock. That's going to be at I believe it's the City Hall, I think.
The City Hall is what I have.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I will actually be heading to Edina for the weekend. Our daughter-in-law's dad passed away. And so this is Kelly and Joseph that are moving out of the country. So actually when they got the call, they were in Japan. So they were able to get a flight back right away. And so, spending some time with the family, over the weekend, and just the celebration of the life that her dad lived was pretty amazing. And that's all that I have. Should we take a break till Sarah comes?
I'm gonna check out in the hallway because there was some folks out there already.
On the 9th, that redetermination meeting,
Oh,
that's the
July.
second day of the fair, and I'll be very busy that day, so I won't be going. I just looked at my schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's
That one on the 9th is more of just an information.
It's an
meeting,
informational
like
one.
they've held at
Like we've had before.
Forks and
Yeah.
Euclid.
Mhm.
yeah, because the second night is a talent contest, right?
Yep.
Yep. I don't, because usually Sarah.
What are you performing, John?
I was
Yep.
gonna say, what are you doing?
Okay, back on track.
Back on track, yes. So at a previous meeting, we talked about as part of our opioid settlement funds, we have Narcan available, and we have done various presentations to community members, businesses, whomever is interested. So we'll do it in a group setting, or we'll also offer it in, one-on-one. People can come to our office. And so I asked Sarah Shimmick to join me today, and to offer you kind of a mini version of what we offer in the community. Along with that, we did establish these wallet cards in to keep things sort of fresh and for folks. Yeah, with all of our information as well. So I'll turn it over to you, and we can go from there.
Start these? I mean, you started from scratch?
Yeah, yep. We worked with the Greater Northwest EMS to originally have this partnership, and so we had them review it. We looked at other places that have implemented similar initiatives to make sure that we had something that that worked for us in Polk County. So yes.
It's got folds.
Oh, it's got folds.
Oh, I think it'll pick you. Will the microphone pick her up over here?
She's fine.
Okay, you're good. Perfect.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I'm Sarah Shimmick. I'm one of the wellness coordinators at Public Health, and I'm going to talk to you about Narcan. And as Sarah mentioned, you each have at least a box of Narcan, and it's the intranasal, and there are 2 doses within that box. And so I'm going to go through and show you how to use it. There are instructions on the outside of the box and the inside of the box, and then also on our wallet card that our great comms team came up with. To help you when you're in the situation where you might need it. Very easy to use and help you through the instructions for that. So we are talking about Narcan, which is the brand name for naloxone, and it's a vital tool in overcoming opioid overdoses. And as you all know and are familiar with, there's an opioid crisis happening in America, and they are a classification of drugs commonly used to reduce pain via opioid receptors in the body. So they include criminalized drugs and non-criminalized prescription medication. Okay, so there's 2 different variants, and they can be natural or synthetic. Like anything nowadays, there's a lot of people making synthetic forms of medications as well. So some examples include heroin, oxycodone, fentanyl. And the importance of addressing the opioid crisis needs to be addressed promptly because it has been classified as a public health emergency, and it's putting a strain on our emergency room situations. And so Narcan is a vital tool to combat that. So we use harm reduction in many different areas of our lives. We use sunscreen, right, to protect against skin cancer. We use seat belts to protect us in the event of a crash. We have speed limits for those same reasons, birth control pills for unwanted pregnancies, and cigarette filters, right, to reduce the harm of people who choose to smoke. So this is just another form of harm reduction. And so why we do it, the importance and the effectiveness is studies show that Narcan can significantly reduce opioid overdose deaths when administered properly. And we want to make it as accessible as possible. So we want to make it available without a prescription, which it is right now. We actually have it available at all 3 of our public health locations in East Grand Forks, in Crookston, and McIntosh. And anyone from the public can come in and request a box. We're saying 1 box per day, no questions asked, confidentially. You come in and just ask for that, and we will give that with our wallet cards and answer any questions people might have. So we know that it has an impact on public health because Narcan saves lives, right? And it provides a critical window for further medical attention to get to that person, and then the opportunity for them to get treatment, right? So it relieves and alleviates a lot of burden on our healthcare systems for people just coming into the emergency room or people calling 911, right? we know that they're already stressed, those systems. So the effects of opioids on the respiratory system, they attach to the receptors on the brainstem, and that causes respiratory depression. So as breathing slows down, carbon dioxide builds up in the lungs, which further depresses breathing. And this is called a positive feedback loop, where the output of the body, the carbon dioxide, amplifies the respiratory depression. And as the body system loses oxygen, then an overdose occurs. So, signs of an opioid overdose. There's non-responsiveness, so they don't answer and you're calling their name or shaking them. There could be vomiting, there could be gasping, gurgling, or snoring where people kind of nod off. Blue or ashy lips and or fingernails, slowed lethargic breathing, and pinpointed pupils. So Narcan, like I said, is the brand name for naloxone, and that's the medication used to counteract that opioid overdose. And it's an antagonist that works by binding to opioid receptors in the brain and reverses the effects of opioids. So there's two different kinds. The one that you have in front of you, which is easiest to use for just the lay person, intranasal, the spray, and then there's intramuscular injection. And of course, we chose intranasal because most people aren't comfortable giving any other person an injection. And it's much more cost effective as well too. So naloxone competes with opioids for binding to opioid receptors, and it quickly reverses that respiratory depression caused by the overdose. So it acts within about 2 to 5 minutes, which seems like a lifetime when you're administering it to someone. And then those effects can last 30 to 90 minutes depending on the dose of opioids that person has taken. So sometimes multiple doses of Narcan are necessary, which is why there's 2 in each box. And then it's also imperative to call 911 immediately to have that medical help as a backup. So what you would do if you came upon someone that was experiencing an overdose and you notice any of the signs that I mentioned, you would check for responsiveness and call 911 right away. So they're on their way, start rescue breathing, remove the Narcan from its package. Like I said, there's 2 doses in each of these boxes. And then you just insert this nozzle right into one of the nasal cavities and push it up as far as you can. And then you're not going to prime this like you would other medications, because then you can lose some of the valuable medication. And you just press this plunger and it will release the dose, right? You continue rescue breathing, you monitor the person and administer a second dose if necessary, and then stay with the person until help arrives, because you've already called 911 or asked someone else to do that. And the great thing with nasal Narcan is if someone doesn't need it, it isn't going to affect them. It's not going to do anything negative. If I took some right now, it wouldn't harm me at all. If I am not overdosing on opioids, though, it's also not going to help me if I'm overdosing from something else. But it won't hurt anyone, and you can give this to people 0 to 99 years of age, right? Unfortunately, we know that because it's had to be administered to small children in certain cases. So it's also covered by that Steve's Law, the Good Samaritan Law, right? So you can't, if people are using together in a situation, they're not going to get in trouble if they're staying with someone and helping them if they have been using themselves, because that's a concern for that community. So it's covered under the Good Samaritan Law. It saves lives, right? That's why we want to use it. It's not a scheduled drug. It's legal to carry. You don't need a prescription. We encourage people to have them on their person, in their vehicle, because we can't save lives for people that have been using opioids without it. You know, it's great that we have it in our school systems, because there's lots of people that come into our buildings, right, that aren't always students or staff, which might need that as well. But we have people coming in for different sporting activities, different staff. There's people all the time in and out of our buildings. So it will put people into immediate withdrawal, and so they might feel some unpleasant symptoms. but they will be alive. It's best to keep it at room temperature, but we know in this part of the country, right, we have extreme temperatures of heat and cold. It's still okay to use it, even if it's expired. It's still better than nothing. We do want you to replace it when it does expire, because it loses its effectiveness, but it's still better than nothing to use it. So it cannot be misused, right? It's not addictive. It has no potential for abuse. Like I said, if someone doesn't need it, it won't do anything to them. And then what to do after administration. Remember, just crucial to seek emergency medical help as additional treatment might be necessary. But that is the short and the long of it. It's quite simple to use. We just want to encourage people to have it with them. We want to make it accessible. We want to take away those barriers of people having to share their information and just have it available confidentially for them to come and grab from any of our offices. And with the opioid settlement funds and with the council's permission and our opioid council, we've been able to do that and provide it in many different situations. And you were just talking about the fair coming up. That's another great place to have it available in case something goes wrong. So we just want to encourage as many people to learn about it, to use it successfully and correctly, and to carry it with them. So, questions?
Number 4 on your chart here
Absolutely.
is that's mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I thought that was kind of in the past.
Right. And so I'm not a nurse, so I don't know the newest guidance that we're doing on CPR. I know that compressions are also encouraged. If you're just more comfortable with doing compressions, you don't always have to do the rescue breaths with it. You're still providing something and some kind of care until emergency medical services arrive. But you're
Lay
right.
public, that's what it is.
Hmm.
Compressions only.
And
Good question.
we've talked about rescue breaths in a variety of capacities, like even like putting a shirt over so there is some sort of barrier, because that air will still go through like a shirt or some other type of fabric. So that's another option.
It's not like kissing.
Nope.
Right. You got it.
Well, and there's more to the use of Narcan than the overdose by, I don't know how, recreational use
Right.
of opioids. There's, as explained in an earlier meeting, kids accidentally getting a hold of it. And
Yep.
could you just briefly touch on, besides the recreational use overdoses, what, for the people listening, how you can accidentally in kids and stuff like that. Would you mind just?
Oh, absolutely. Just like with all of the different types of cannabis products that we now have available in people's homes, medications are also available in people's homes. And so children or anyone can have access to those if they aren't locked up, right? And so that could accidentally be taken and there could be an accidental overdose. And so then, like I said, we know, unfortunately, that this works on people 0 to 99 years of age because it's had to be administered to children in some certain cases because of that reason that you just said. So it absolutely works on them too, and brings them right back. And very scary situation, but they are here and they're here and back immediately after administering that dose or 2 or however many it takes because of the amount that they've taken.
With kids, maybe Paul, they don't even have to ingest it. I mean, if they just touch it,
and they can get it through the
touch on their fingers, and so that.
Well, it's the same even for adults. I mean, like in a store, you might touch something and it could have residual, and and even like with money. I mean, just anything that we touch could have a residue.
Trace amounts of things like fentanyl that so many things are being laced with nowadays. Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's also the, prescription side of it too. If someone has, maybe forgets that they took a dose of something and takes extra, I mean, that can happen too. It's like not an intended thing. It just can happen accidentally that way. And we hear of that too. So there's lots of different circumstances for which it can be valuable, which is why It is now recommended anywhere that there is an AED that there is also Narcan sort of with that hand in hand.
Lots of places co-locate those two things together just to make it easier for the one-stop shop if there is an emergency.
Because you don't have much time. It has to be.
In the kids, in reference to what you're saying, let's say somebody has a fentanyl patch, and they change that patch every 3 days. Okay. When you take that patch off, if you do not dispose of that properly, and a kid would get it, there's still some left in there. And they've had instances where cats or dogs have started eating them.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Is there a difference of reaction time between the nasal and the injection?
Very little.
That I'm
Very little. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think they both have about the same.
Mucous membranes are the
effectiveness.
fast, very, very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Under the tongue and in the nose, they're really fast.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that that's actually the fastest mechanism to get medication into the body was nasally. Until I
Or sublingual underneath the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some places that are offering the injection. It just wasn't the right fit for us. We did a lot of
I agree.
asking around, and it just was not the right fit. And there's just a lot more details to it, and people's comfort level is not there. So, yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, definitely
This is pretty
appreciate.
easy for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Very.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
You
the
press
point.
the plunger
So-
and
Mm-hmm.
that's about it.
Yeah.
That's why the dose for kids or adults, it doesn't matter because you can't OD on it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do any harm.
Yeah.
It would just be like putting water.
Yeah.
Easily.
Do you want to leave a card with?
Oh, yeah, I
Gary?
sure
Does
can.
it- Sorry, can you pick that up for me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's just throwing stuff around.
So I've got a couple cards here, so I can.
Yeah. So.
leave two for
Oh,
Gary.
perfect. Yep,
I'll
that'll
leave
be
two for
great.
Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes, thank you.
And hope that we never have to use it.
Exactly. I hope to. I hope it expires and you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I got to look at my other one box that I have for expiration, but.
Take some for you. We're good. All right.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
I'm gonna
Thanks, everyone.
grab this chair back. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Yes. You're welcome. Good morning.
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 All right. Mine is a little lighter material. All right, before you guys today, thank you. I am presenting a resolution for Polk County to participate in the City of Crookston's Housing Incentive Program, which includes property tax abatements for the city or the Polk County portion of property taxes. This is not new. This is just a renewal, essentially, of our participation in their housing abatement program. There is some materials in here. So both the city council and the school board have approved participation in the program. And this is essentially what they're offering.
I know it works well in East Grand Forks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the city of Crookston has participated in the past, had a pretty active program, and they're looking to reinvigorate, I think, so. Essentially looking for a motion
In
for,
Gary's absence, I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay, so we've got Warren and Paul. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
all right,
Thank you,
Perfect.
Deputy Director.
yep, no problem.
And stay
Easy
longer
peasy.
next time.
Can I? Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Just visit, no work.
Oh, Mark's here already. All right. You sent me the number for it. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thank
See
you.
you later. Okay.
For me.
Good morning.
You're on a time schedule. Can you beat that?
Oh, I can try. Yeah, all I'm here for is we've got 4 abatements that I'm requesting approval for. They went over the $2,000 limit. And 3 of them are homestead modifiers that were missed within our tax program, and the other one was a benefit that should have been applied for 2026. That bottom one, and you can see the amounts right here of the actual abatements.
Was it? It says clerical error. Was it just something? Was something changed in there? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, there was probably like a name change or something like that. That happens frequently, and then whenever that happens, the administrative staff has to review to make sure they still qualify. And there's a lot of things you have to press within the program, and sometimes it's there's so many, they get calls all the time, and stuff happens, and it just gets missed, and then we find it.
Veteran benefit was that?
I'm guessing it was a veterans exclusion, or there's a program. I'm not even sure how much.
Yeah, I'm looking up just to find out for sure.
I'm pretty sure it was just one where the homestead exclusion, because that's a fairly large number, because there's different levels that attain to it, and I'm not sure what the privacy.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm concerned about.
That's where I was
Oh, yeah.
thinking as well.
Okay. Yeah.
They qualify for a full exemption.
Okay. No, I was just.
No, they're good questions.
Do we have to act on these individually, or can we do it in one?
Just one.
I'll move.
Okay, Warren?
Second.
No, go ahead, Ross.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, well, thank you. I see the county newsletters are out, and there's some stuff on that CPI conversion project on there. It's kind of, if you're looking for something if you can't fall asleep and you wanna, there's a big long page with lots of statistics in there. So,
I thought you did a really nice job on that.
yeah, it went remarkably smoothly.
You got yours already? I haven't received one yet.
Yeah, I
They're sitting out there, so
No.
have to go get one.
yeah, and don't worry, you'll hear more about it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm just looking forward to that one.
All right, thank you guys.
Yep. See you later. Okay.
Well, Rich is here for the next item.
My stuff that's on the agenda after the hearing, quick,
Oh, yeah.
to get you ahead of schedule. Sure.
Yeah.
You guys want to check for John Kolb just to see if he's on?
So as part of
well, like usual, we'll be applying for a grant to replace the Neilsville Bridge again. Norman did the build grant earlier this year. The notice of opportunity came out on the Bridge Improvement Program grant again. And so Polk will be the lead on that. We received $20,000 from out of the 30 from the state of Minnesota to put the grant together. And so it's due the end of June, and therefore we need to get the resolution passed and the letter signed so that we can put it as part of our grant application and send it in. So I need approval to have the chair sign the letter and approval for resolution, whatever number that is.
I so move.
Okay, so we'll do the resolution for the application first. Is that what you're?
What's that?
Yep, I'll move.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay,
Yeah.
Paul and Warren. Any discussion?
I think it's J. Cole.
All
My
those,
discussion is,
Oh, I can't because I'm locked in.
there's bridges in 3 counties, is there not?
Correct. So we're the lead. We're just saying that we will make sure that everybody's local portion is gathered, which Clay and Norman and Trail and Cass don't have an issue because they know exactly what their cost is going to be, and they're sending letters of support as well.
So it's
So-
Neilsville, that's of course Polk County, and
And then
then
Hendrum is Norman Trail,
Okay.
and Georgetown is Clay and Cass.
Okay,
That's the 3 bridges that have been bundled. And as part of the grant, we always say, well, if you're not going to give us the whole grant amount, these are the bridges in order in which we want funding for. And so it's Neilsville, Georgetown, Hendrum.
okay, we're
So,
number 1
We're
position.
number 1 because we're closed. Georgetown is number 2 because they have more of a issue than Hendrum.
And the dollar amount on the grant request is,
Well, so it used to be up to 25 million, and now it's higher. So we'll see.
mhm.
okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, and then need approval for the commitment letter.
I'll move.
Warren,
I'll second.
seconded by Ross.
Did you find it?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Yeah,
Aye.
Right,
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
the hearing started at 9.
Mhm.
I can get reloaded. You ready?
sure. Thank you.
Since you're the only non-county individual here. Makes it a lot quicker.
Are you expecting anyone?
The only person I would expect would be Wagner's, and they're the ones that signed the petition, but it's not necessary, so
Thank you.
Okay.
everybody was notified, and based on there not being a ditch there, it's pretty simple.
Mhm, mhm.
Different,
Yeah. And also on the agenda, B and C should be switched because we need to close the hearing before we do the.
yeah.
Question 2, somebody was asking me yesterday about the Climax Highway Bridge.
Yes,
That supposedly at one time was supposed to be complete replacement, and now they're talking about some repair rather than that.
yes.
Do you have any
So that
information on that?
so the latest I've heard was they had picked their consultant and their contractor. They hadn't started yet, but what I understood from the conversation is they would be fixing the pier,
Yeah,
so, and then fixing the slope, and that's it. Because the rest of the bridge is in decent shape, and they didn't want to lose the amount of life left in that bridge by replacing it entirely
so what's the timetable on,
this October.
will it be done next year basically? Or will it?
Done this before this
Oh,
October.
it can be done, by October.
Yep. They had an October complete. If they completed by October of 2026, they got a huge benefit. Or anyway, a large payment to finish early. Otherwise, they didn't get it if they finished by October 27.
So the work will start pretty close, pretty
I
near.
would guess you'll start seeing it soon.
Okay, thank you.
John, can you hear us? Yes, I just want to make sure you're coming through on the stream. One moment. When is Highway 22 supposed to start?
That I do not
John,
know.
can you talk one more time?
Do you know when they'll be starting? 8?
This afternoon or tomorrow morning.
Okay. I was expecting it yesterday, but
Rain slowed them down
John, can you test one more time?
Monday and Friday.
Hmm.
So they should be finishing up 2 today for sure. So
On
One
number,
more time.
on number 12, the first curve, I see you've been working, he must have called you, Mark Yerkes,
Okay.
about he had more water there than he's ever had in his life, but I think it's being finally,
Oh, north of Maple Bay.
no, on, right
John,
out for
one
the
more
first
time,
curve.
Oh, yeah, he called me. I let maintenance know, but I don't know what.
I think
Oh,
it's,
we hadn't finished there.
John, can you test one more time?
Does our camera work?
Yeah, that wouldn't change anything. It's has to do with the actual team software.
You're picking the wrong output.
I'm switching
Um,
back and forth. John,
So
one
I
more
sent
time.
you an email. You for JD 60, JD 66.
Mhm.
Does June 15th at that time work for you three?
I'll be there.
Okay, perfect.
yeah, it's on my
Usually the
calendar.
JD 60 happens here, but because they wanted to talk about JD 66, they wanted to host it up there, and so yeah.
Mhm.
1:30.
1:30 on the 15th of June.
Mhm.
Okay.
John, one more test.
One more test.
Let's see what we got here. Just have you say a few things so I can just kind of run through these.
You want me to say a few things?
There we go.
I can talk all day.
We got it, John. We're good.
Sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kolb is online. I figured there was no sense having him drive all the way up here for what could be a 5-minute hearing and have to drive all the way back to St. Cloud. So thank you, John, for joining us via Teams. And so
Thank you for the option. For today especially, this is good better for me. So thank you for that.
perfect.
We can go about this. I can read this introduction. I think we probably should just to keep the record straight.
Okay.
Unless the board chair wants to read it, but this is not supposed to be a reading test for commissioners, so I'm happy to read it. And then we can kind of get into the hearing. We'll just follow the agenda, the internal agenda for this hearing. I think that we provided, and Rich, I think you have that.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, so
Do
go
we,
ahead.
should we open up the hearing before you read?
Yes, you should read. You should recess your regular board meeting and convene the public hearing for the petition for partial abandonment on County Ditch 7.
Okay, so I need a motion to open this hearing at 9:03.
I so move.
I'll second.
Paul and Ross. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Okay.
The way that they described it in their petition was starting at the southeast corner of section 27 in township 149, range 48, and then going west along the north side of County State Aid Highway 14, approximately 1,900 feet, and then north to the northwest corner of section 27, same township and range, and then terminating. That was what was petitioned. So basically the entirety of the established alignment of CD 70 in section 27 was proposed for abandonment. So I just want to be clear on that because there are some additional recommendations that'll come from your engineer. So welcome everybody that's come to the hearing today. Under consideration at the hearing is whether the portion of CD 70 proposed to be abandoned and any other portions discovered during the engineer's analysis serve any substantial useful purpose as part of the drainage system to any property remaining in the system, and whether it's of substantial public benefit or utility. The purpose of the hearing is to review the petitioned action, all the evidence related to the purpose and benefit of the portion of CD7 proposed to be abandoned, and to take public comment related to the same topics. This is an evidentiary hearing, so we're taking notes and trying to encompass everything that happens today and everything that was discussed, either in the order or in some semblance of minutes. The order of business for the hearing will be as follows. After this introduction, I'm going to go right into the legal standards for the decision today and talk a little bit about some of the decisions the board will have to make based on the evidence that you hear today. That'll include a bit of a procedural background. Then I believe Mr. Sanders is going to provide an overview of the notices that were provided for the hearing, and also a report of his investigation and opinion regarding the portion of the drainage system proposed to be abandoned and any further recommendations that he has. And I think those will be discussed in terms of the statutory criteria for your decision. Following the staff presentation, board chair, I would ask you to open up the public hearing to comment. The board obviously would like to hear any public comments that are out there from folks that are interested in these proceedings. And we'll take those comments into consideration when making their decision. For the purpose of the public hearing, we just ask that the person wanting to make the comment get recognized by the board chair, and then provide a name and a location of the property that might be of interest here, just so we can try to figure out where that property is in relation to the portions of ditch proposed to be abandoned. Commissioners are obviously free to ask questions during the public comment period of staff and consultants, or to direct questions that may be posed by commenters to staff in order to clarify testimony. We just ask that the board not go into deliberation during the public comment, and that we really reserve that for the public and their comments, and we try to clarify those comments as much as possible. If there's a specific question, again, the board can ask staff or legal counsel to respond. And then to ensure that everybody wishing to make a comment, and I don't have no idea who's in the room there, but you are free, board chair, to limit the time for any single speaker if that's going to be necessary to get through everybody. And again, I don't know who's in the room, maybe no one, and that's fine. But we want to make sure we give everyone an opportunity to speak. So does the board have any questions kind of about those introductory remarks? Otherwise, I'm going to go right into the legal standards for the hearing today.
Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, continue, John.
All right. So the standard of review, we're taking this action under statute section 103E.806. The standard of review is based on, if you find, based on the evidence, that the part of the drainage system to be abandoned does not serve a substantial useful purpose as part of the drainage system to any property remaining in the system, and is not of substantial benefit and utility, then you must actually, according to the statute, make findings in an order abandoning the drainage system. Let's talk about that just a little bit. Substantial useful purpose means really, and then this idea that it's of substantial public benefit and utility, is that it is necessary to drain the land, and there's no alternative for that water. And so if the board finds that this water is going a different direction, or is handled by other infrastructure, or that the portion of system to be abandoned just isn't there anymore, and it's been replaced, then you can find pretty confidently that there's no substantial useful purpose as part of the drainage system, and that it's not of any substantial public benefit and utility. We're basically not going to harm anyone by taking this out of the inventory. So the advantages to the drainage system of having this out of the inventory is you no longer have to inspect it, you no longer are obligated to maintain it, and that can be a cost savings to the overall system. To the landowners affected, the importance is they will no longer have this, I guess, theoretical impediment on their property. They'll no longer have a record that shows that there's a drainage system crossing their property, and so they won't have to contend with that as a burden on the property anymore. Obviously, their property won't be subject to the same level of entry or the same location of entry for future inspection, maintenance, those sorts of things. So there is an advantage to the landowners to having this abandoned as well in terms of kind of cleaning up their property record and no longer having this system reflected anywhere on their property record. So when we get done hearing all the evidence, I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I'm going to ask you the questions that I just posed in terms of the legal standard. I'm going to ask you whether the portion of drainage system to be abandoned serves a substantial useful purpose as part of the drainage system and any property remaining in the system. And then I'm also going to ask you whether or not the portion proposed to be abandoned is of public utility and benefit. And then finally, I'm going to ask you how you want to deal with the costs of the proceedings. It is traditional in proceedings like this that the petitioner would pay the costs. So all the administrative, legal, and we've tried to keep this very low in terms of cost, including the fact that I'm not driving up there. That's a good thing. But the board does have discretion. If you find that the abandonment proposed is beneficial to the drainage system in terms of overall cost savings, you can waive a portion or all of those costs and actually have the drainage system pay for that. And we'll have some more discussion about that after we hear all of the evidence. But I want to make you aware of that especially because even though we have a single petition here, I believe your engineer is going to recommend that some additional portions of the system be abandoned, and he'll explain to you why that is. So does any of the board have a question about the legal standard and kind of how we'll go through deliberation when all of the evidence is received?
Any questions?
No.
No questions.
If not, then I'll turn it back over to Mr. Sanders. He can go through the notices that were given for the hearing today and give his presentation of his investigation.
So we're here for the partial abandonment. As you can see from the slide I have in front of you, which is a PowerPoint that I made up, and this is a PDF of it that was attached to the agenda. County Ditch 70 starts here in the northwest part of section 28, runs east to the northwest part of section 27, and then went diagonal across section 27 down to near the south quarter corner of section 27, and then east over to the southeast corner. Okay. We sent, Sam put together the list of all the benefited parcels in County Ditch 70. We sent out the notices for this public hearing back at the beginning of April, giving people plenty of time to put it in their calendar so that they could show up if they wanted to. Currently, we have no public here other than KROX radio, John. So their public side of it's going to be pretty quick, just so you know. So what I found out, I went out and drove. This is County Road 45 along the south side of section 27 and 28. This is County Road 16 going along the east side of section 27. The ditch, like I said, was supposed to follow this alignment. There's evidence from the 1939 aerial photo that there was a ditch there at one point, but now I'm going to show you photos, and actually the red part of the ditch is no longer there. It's been farmed through, been filled in. Don't know if it was because now we have County Ditch 116 that runs along the west side of 16 up until County Road 45. There's a culvert that goes diagonally through the intersection and then up the east side of 16 and continues north. There's also County Ditch 117 that runs along the east side of this township road on the west side of section 27 from the half-mile line up to the northwest corner of section 27 and continues north. And then you have County Ditch 20 over here in the that starts at the northwest corner of section 28 and goes north. So those are that, and you have County Ditch 103 that starts a half a mile west of 16 on the south side of County Road 45 and runs west all the way to the Red River. So we got a lot of county ditches in this area. As you can see from the aerial photo, this part that was part of the original petition, all the fields drains run east and west. So everything's running west to the township road and then north up County Ditch 117. This part of the field runs south, and I'm going to show you that there's a center line culvert at this location draining that water into County Ditch 103. There's also a center line culvert at this intersection with the township road in the southwest part of 27 that drains this half mile from this dry crossing here south into County Ditch 103. So all this water basically from here, that quarter of a mile drains south into 103. Everything north of that drains west into 117. Never really, it doesn't go into County Ditch 70 at all because there is no County Ditch 70 there anymore. So that's what this is showing: centerline drainage, centerline drainage, this field draining that portion into County Ditch 117. This is a photo sitting at the intersection of County Road 45 and County Road 16, looking south to Eldred along the east side. This is County Ditch 116. There's the center line culvert running diagonally through the intersection. This is the south ditch of 45 looking west at that same location. So no county ditch here, just a regular highway ditch. This is the ditch on the west side of 16 looking north from 45. Really no ditch, just a highway ditch. And this is the ditch at 16 looking west down 45. This is where County Ditch 70 would have started. So really no legal ditch there, just a regular highway ditch. Then if you go past the farmstead to the first approach, this is looking at the regular highway ditch and out into the field. So you can see that it's been planted and
so that last picture you just showed,
yep,
is there should be in theory, according to the map, there should be a ditch going.
Well, nope. At the next picture, I'm going to explain this. This is just west of the farmstead, probably a couple hundred, 200-300 feet west of the farmstead, just looking out into the field, showing you that it's been planted, that the farmer doesn't have any drainage issues because the next photo, here's the centerline culvert through 45. And you can sort of see this little swale on the east side of the photo. That's where County Ditch 70 would have came in to CASA 45's road ditch. Okay. And so this photo is standing on the road looking at that same centerline culvert marker, looking to the northwest where the ditch would have been. No ditch. He's farming through it. He has his field draining into the County Road 45 location, and that water is all draining through that centerline culvert. This is the centerline culvert marker at the Township Road intersection, looking north. You can see that there's a field approach right up here. All this water is draining south and into that centerline culvert and draining into County Ditch 103. This is the half mile line So that line I had drawn half mile north at the west side of section 27, all this water is draining to this location along that half mile line. And this is where County Ditch 117 starts. So you have a picture, you can sort of see a county ditch there, and it drains north and continues north. Now we're at the intersection or the northwest corner of section 27, looking south, looking east, and here's a culvert through the township road for County Ditch 117 going north. There's no ditch coming in at an angle. And then looking west, there's really no ditch there. No, this is the one looking south, sorry. This is County Ditch 117 coming from the south up to that same intersection. This portion is at the half mile line or the north quarter corner of section 28. So you can sort of see that there's a ditch there. It has been cleaned, it just hasn't been cleaned by the ditch system. It's been cleaned by the landowners. And then this is a field drain at the half mile line that's draining south into that portion, or draining north into that portion of the ditch that continues on west. There's really no ditch between here and the township intersection that we were at previously. These are the benefited acres of County Ditch 70, and who received notice for this hearing. And then here's the grading plan for County Road 45. Just going to basically show you, well, it was done in 1978. And so here is the intersection southwest of 27, southeast of 28. This is this center line culvert that I showed you that was running along the township road. You can see that that's been installed and the water's draining south into County Ditch 103 at that location. And then at the half mile line, here's the center line culvert. The first one I showed you, this is where the ditch would have ran northwest, going up this direction. And the water is draining south into County Ditch 103, the beginning of County Ditch 103 right there. So from everything I've showed or seen and looked at to pictures of, County Ditch 70 doesn't exist from a half mile east of the northeast of 28 all the way to the southwest corner or southeast corner of section 27. So let me go back to that first slide that I showed you. And there is no drainage issues because the ditch does not exist. Everything is being farmed adequately and has adequate drainage in one direction or the other. So the reason I put this photo up, I should have put this photo at the end again. Originally, we were looking at abandoning County Ditch 70 from the northwest part of section 27 to the southeast part of section 27. I sent John this information. My recommendation would be, since there is no ditch from this half mile line or north quarter corner of 28 over to the northeast of 28, that we would abandon that as well. We would leave this stretch alone. That's the stretch that the landowner cleaned, because this field drains to the west and then north to that location. So it still is acting like a county ditch. They may be cleaning it themselves, but in the future may want us to do it. So we could leave this half mile of County Ditch 70, talk to these two landowners that are absentee landowners. They live someplace else and they're renters, and then determine what we want to do with that last half mile in the future. So that would be my recommendation. Any questions on that, John? Mr. Kolb?
I have no questions on that. I do have a comment though. There's no need to contact the additional owners if the board believes that that stretch in section 28 meets the criteria. It can abandon it today.
Okay.
I mean, and it probably makes sense because the last thing we want is ditch, then no ditch, and then ditch again. So, you know, and that we would be abandoning something kind of in the middle. So I think it makes most sense if we're going to take an action today. Let's see if the evidence supports it, and we'll take action on that portion in section 28 as well today rather than delay. That's up to the board, obviously, but that'd be my recommendation.
So the half mile that I didn't show as being abandoned is the half mile that's connected to County Ditch 20 that runs north from the northwest of 28. So you got County Ditch 20 running northwest from the or north from the northwest corner of section 28. And then you have that stretch, that half mile that the landowners kept clean. It looks like a county ditch, just not maintained by the ditch system. The rest of it, there is no ditch. And so do we leave that half mile of County Ditch 70 or?
Well, is it 70 or is it 20? What did you, I mean, you're talking about the blue dots, the blue dots on your
is
first
70.
slide.
The blue dots going east and west?
The blue dots running east and west is part of County Ditch 70 as we speak today. From this location going north is County Ditch 20. So my question to you is, if they abandon this last half mile of 70, so 70 is entirely gone, this area would all fall into County Ditch 20's benefited area instead of 70's. So it's still going to have ditch benefits, just to a different ditch. And then the question is if they didn't want to abandon this half mile in the future or today, could we do something just to extend that as part of 20, change it from 70 to 20, and so it's still just one ditch's benefits instead of two?
Yeah, and the answer to all of that is yes. And I apologize, Rich, I misunderstood. When I talking about that half mile in section 28, it's the one that you have outlined in red, which was additional ditch that you're proposing to be abandoned today, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, but that other half mile, yeah, I agree with you. I misunderstood when you were talking about that. We do probably want to talk to landowners about how to do that. That can become part of 20. It can be abandoned in its entirety. And as you know, and if the board's not aware of this, a lot of what prompted this investigation and inquiry were the redeterminations of benefits and realizing that, wait a minute, this water's all parsed now to different ditches. And then the individual landowner saying, well, we should just get rid of then that portion of 70. So I agree with you, Rich. I'm sorry, I was mistaken. I was thinking about that east half mile, not the west half mile on the north line of 28. So to disregard my comment then, we'll just go with the engineer's recommendation as made today.
The petitioners petitioned to abandon the diagonal portion and
the stretch running east and west along the south side of 27 over to County Road 16. So this is the stretch that was petitioned to be abandoned.
Okay.
But because when I was up there and was doing my review, there's no ditch here. It showed it has no function because all this field here drains west to this north-south ditch that they've created on their own. So there would be no reason to leave this stretch of east-west stretch of 70 on the north side of 28 either, because it's not there.
And the landowners can maintain that as a roadside ditch, just like they already are.
Correct. Yep.
And including the next half mile.
Yep.
That they're already maintaining on their own.
Correct.
It would just go into, instead of being benefited by ditch 70, it would go into being benefited by ditch, what was that? 20?
20. Yep. Yep.
But we can't fix that today.
No,
We can't fix that last half mile today because it's still functioning.
Correct.
Looks like the county ditch. And
Well, you need
at
to
this
talk to
point,
landowners.
these two landowners haven't been notified of anything other than we're abandoning the stretch that doesn't really affect them.
But the landowners in the northeast quarter of section 28.
Haven't been notified either, but there is no ditch there, so it's not gonna, it wouldn't affect them at all either. So,
I just get nervous about water issues, and
yep,
I know I understand what you're saying, but
yep. I mean, we can just do what the notice showed and just do everything in 27, then we can turn around and do the same thing for 28 in the future. I'm just, like I talked to Mr. Kolb earlier, there's no ditch there. The landowner, I mean, it's just straight inslope off the township road. Everything in this field drains west. If it was draining north into a road ditch, then I'd be more concerned, but that whole field drains west. So whether there's a county ditch there or not, it's not affecting his farming operations. So to me, it would benefit him more to abandon it, because then he doesn't have to have a buffer there. Right now, he's required to have that 16.5-foot buffer along that half mile of field. Not to say that there's one there or not, but there isn't. And so abandoning it benefits him more than leaving it there.
Well, that's your recommendation.
That's
That's what I would do.
you four are the decision makers. I'm just the recommender. So,
But I think in the future, we need to look at that and change that to 20, the west half, or that last half mile.
or abandon it entirely. If he's
Yeah.
going to maintain it himself and it doesn't function,
Okay.
you know, it'd be between these two landowners, which is the same, and this landowner here, to have an agreement that this part of the ditch remains clean so that he can continue having the drainage that he currently has. So
we would have to come back
That's
anyways.
we're going to have to come back for this half mile
For
anyways.
that half mile anyways.
That's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions, Mr. Kolb?
None for me. I think if that concludes your presentation, we would open it
Yes.
up for public comment.
Which we have none. Unless
Well, let's observe the formalities either way.
Carex
Let's
doesn't
go
have
ahead
any
and
comments,
open it
so-
up. Okay.
Yep. So we have
All right.
no public comments. So then
Okay. So there.
to close.
Go ahead.
Correct.
So
Well,
she
we
should
would close the public
close-
comment portion of the
close the
hearing, and then we
hearing.
would go into deliberations.
you know,
Okay, so I need a motion to close the hearing at
Okay,
9:31.
so I'm over.
I'll second.
Paul and Ross, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
now you have to make your decision
Yep.
on that.
So let's do this, commissioners. Let's deal with some of the ankle biters first. So I guess the first thing, let's talk about, do you want to act on the engineer's recommendation and abandon that half mile of ditch 70 east along the north line of section 28, that half mile? Are you interested in doing that today, or do you want to push that off to a separate action later?
Today.
Okay, I heard somebody say today, so I'm going with that. Thank you. The next question.
I know I'm contradicting, and I would like to put that off and stick with what was originally petitioned.
That's what he's talking about.
No.
No, what was originally petitioned was
Was
just a
just the
diagonal
angle.
piece, and then the J going east at the south
Yeah.
end.
So originally it's from this point to this
Oh, yeah.
point.
That's what you want to go with.
That's what I would like to go with, and if we have to come
Especially-
back anyways
Oh,
for that second half
No, that
mile,
makes
we do
sense.
all of section 28 at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I understand why, you are saying to abandon it, but I just, if the landowners aren't,
if they haven't been notified, then we probably should do it.
Well, they've been notified of this.
Yes,
They
but
just
not that.
haven't been notified of that half mile.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
wasn't part of
I
the
agree.
petition. It wasn't a part of the notification.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'd say wait with that and then we'll just finish
Especially
up
since
that.
we gotta come back.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully.
So
So,
just what
And-
was petitioned, Mr. Cole?
Okay, thank you for that clarification, commissioners, and I'll just say that the county as a benefited entity, because I'm sure you're benefited on by county roads to these systems, the county can petition itself to abandon that next mile if you had to. So we can talk about that, and I'm sure that Mr. Sanders and I'll get right into this immediately following whatever action is taken today. So then the next question in terms of the ankle biter issues is how do you want to deal with the costs of these proceedings? Do you want to, which we traditionally do, is we charge those back to the petitioner and we make the abandonment contingent on the payment of those costs? Do you want to waive a portion of those costs, or do you want to pay for all of it from the ditch system account or the county funds, depending on what you've got available to pay for this?
What's your recommendation?
The ditch system.
I move that we pay the cost with the ditch system.
A second.
Okay. All right, and that's fine. We don't have to take an action on that because we'll roll that into the order. So I just needed to know that. And then the last piece of that is let's talk about the statutory standards, which I think you've already worked your way through. So the first question I'm going to ask is, does the part of the drainage system proposed to be abandoned, and that's only the portion in section 27, serve a substantial useful purpose as part of the drainage system to any property remaining in the system? And I'll just get I can't see you, so I mean, I either need to kind of have a consensus yes or a consensus no on that. And I believe that what you got to really think about the language, because it says, does it serve a substantial useful purpose? I guess we could answer that question once, and then we could say, is it required for any other property in the system other than the petitioners? So if the answer to that is all no, if you collectively say no to that, then we move forward.
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
okay.
Then the next question is the portion of CD7 proposed to be abandoned, and again, only the portion in section 27, a substantial public benefit and utility?
No.
No.
no,
All right. Do I have the ability, or can you see if I throw the order up on the screen? Can you all see that? I'm going to try it here.
Let's see.
Can you see that
we can see
document?
it.
Yep.
Okay. So when we get to the end of this, I'm going to ask the board chair to entertain a motion and a second to adopt these findings, but let's go through the findings. So the portion of drainage system proposed to be abandoned is a part of Polk County Ditch 70. The petition describes this portion and it's listed out there. That's all of the land in section 27. You held your hearing on June 2nd. You provided notice of the hearing. You've got all the evidence of your procedural actions are in the record. You requested that your engineer examine the property and the ditch to determine which portion of the drainage system proposed to be abandoned serves a substantial useful purpose or is of substantial public benefit and utility. At the hearing, the county engineer reported the results of his investigation and offered his opinion that the portion of drainage system petitioned to be abandoned does not serve a substantial useful purpose to any property remaining in the system and is not a substantial public benefit. Additionally, the engineer apprised that further portions of the drainage system be abandoned. It's the engineer's recommendation based on his investigation and analysis that the board not only abandon section 70 within section 27, CD 70 within section 27 as petitioned, but also an additional half mile of ditch from the northeast corner of section 28 and west. Essentially, the engineer reported that portions of the drainage system he recommends for abandonment are no longer presented or present on the landscape, and their function has been replaced by other private drainage infrastructure. I'm mentioning that only because that's what was presented today, not because we're going to act on that. Drainage Authority opened the public hearing to comment. You received no substantial comments related to the useful purpose or other public and utility benefits of ditch 70 proposed to be abandoned. All comments were addressed to the satisfaction of the board. I'm actually going to take that out because we received no comments. I'm just going to delete that. And then we find the following, that a valid petition was filed, that all procedural and notice requirements have been met, and I'm going to take this out, the portion of CD7 proposed to be abandoned in the petition And I'm going to take this out. And let's see. And then we got to fix this. Serves no poor substantial take property remaining and is not a substantial benefit that the cost of code with maintaining proposed to be abandoned outweigh any benefit derived from that portion. And then there is no longer any portion of public benefit to be provided. So then the order would be that the Drainage Authority abandons County Ditch 7 within CD 70 as abandoned or as petitioned. The partial abandonment authorized will be effective upon petitioner's payment. We're taking that out. And we're basically saying costs of the partial abandon will be paid from the CD 70 system. And then we don't need that anymore. We're going to do the Director of Property Records to revise the drainage system record to reflect the partial abandonment as ordered, and that effective immediately, no drainage system funds will be spent to inspect or maintain the portion proposed to be abandoned. And I understand we have a commissioner missing today. Can I figure out who that is real quick?
Commissioner Wilhite.
Okay, thank you. Then commissioners, if that's acceptable to you, then I would ask the chair to entertain a motion and second to adopt the findings and order as presented. And if I could get your names when you make that motion.
Okay, so I need a motion.
So move.
Okay, Commissioner Pape made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Reese. Any?
Okay, and go ahead. Sorry, Madam Chair.
Just going to ask if there's any other questions.
None.
No.
Then if there's no other questions, you could call the vote. You can do it by roll call. If you don't do it by roll call and I don't hear any nays, then I'm just going to put everybody except for Commissioner Wilhite, who's absent, as a yes.
Okay, I think we can just go by all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Okay, I have that as 4-0 with manager or Commissioner Wilhite absent.
Correct.
There's nothing further that you need to do today then, Madam Chair. You can adjourn the hearing altogether and return to your regular meeting.
Okay, well, we've already closed the public hearing, so we can just move on for our agenda.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kolb.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and I will have this order emailed to Mr. Sanders here shortly, and he can bring that for your signature, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye all.
Bye.
Yeah, it'd be under ditch authority.
So you'd have to close the meeting now from the ditch authority to go back into the county board meeting, correct? Because your other one was just public comment that you closed. Doesn't really matter. I'm just, because when that action would have come as the ditch authority, which is what you opened that meeting for.
Right.
Okay.
So you open the hearing.
Mhm.
Really, you should have closed the board meeting, opened the county ditch.
Which is what they
board
did.
meeting.
They recessed and then opened. So now you have to
Then you
close to
open
go
the
back.
hearing, close the hearing, close the county ditch board meeting.
Okay, so then I need a motion to,
Close the ditch authority meeting of it.
So move.
okay, Ross,
Second.
seconded by Warren. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Now.
Yes. Now you're back to your normal meeting.
Okay, yep,
So we'll see you on June 15th at 1:30 Red Lake Falls.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
see you
Rich.
later.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to fix that.
Okay,
Morning, everyone. Morning.
morning.
You.
Let's see how many slides Rich had.
A few.
I might have beat him. Bridge improvement. Okay. I got 3 action items today. The first one is a conditional use permit. Applicant is Ryan and Danielle Gregwire. Property on Maple Lake, parcel number 30.00449.00. Applicant is requesting, or the applicants are requesting a conditional use permit to tie a septic system to an existing accessory building on a backlot on Maple Lake. Proposed non-riparian lot, so back lot is 150 by 200, so it's approximately 30,000 square feet in size. They do have a dwelling on the front lot adjacent to this property. Mound septic system was constructed earlier this May and is located on that back lot. The applicant is proposing to have a bathroom and a wildlife cleaning station and an existing shed. Noted on the application that there will be no bedrooms, rather it is a shop with shed uses only. Septic system's designed to be a holding tank. We have evaluated that there is room on the site for another septic system. Should the front lot septic fail, you know, typically we want about 30 years of lifespan of a septic or greater. Really, if they maintain it by pumping tanks and doing those things, it should last that long. But we always got to be mindful about not using all the square footage for a property too, that they have an additional room. They live on the site. It is a fully functional dwelling on the front lot. You know, there isn't adequate room on the front lot, so that's why they have a pretty sizable back lot for that septic, and that's why it was located on the back lot there. Existing impervious is 11.5% on the back lot area. You know, the septic holding tank will add no additional impervious, so we're good there. Shed is to have no habitable space as defined by our zoning ordinance for shop and storage purposes only. This will be addressed via conditions placed on the request. Only comment we got was Maple Lake Improvement District had no issues with the proposed request. So, digging into it, obviously we have our ordinance standard 18.2225E, which states no septic systems installed for use in an accessory structure without a conditional use permit, hence why they applied. I'll go over a couple pictures quick. Site location, it is located on the south end of Maple Lake. It's along Maple Street Southeast. Their front lot is located right here, and this is the back lot area. This would be that existing pole building. Proposed septic location for the holding tank is right here, at the rear of the shed. Their upgraded septic is actually located right in this corner here. So if they had to do an additional septic system to replace this one, this would be the location that they would target right next to where they just installed a new septic system, because this one was functionally failing on the front lot there. Terrible sketch here that got scanned in, but really it's just this is the parameters of that existing building here. Looking at adding plumbing, it doesn't currently have any plumbing within it. Is to drop down a tank here. Lake is actually located on the far left of this picture here. Picture of the shed shop right now, and then that location of the tank would be right in the rear here, easy for a pumper to come and pump it out. So with that, Planning Commission and staff recommended approval of this request with the following conditions: no guest house uses. They shall have recorded the no guest house waiver before issuance of the permit. Applicant shall provide a septic design from a licensed septic professional. We have received that. After the public hearing on this, we did receive a full septic design for that holding tank. Again, no future development that would exceed 25% impervious, and then the conditional use would become void 1 year after it was granted unless used. And then the others are the 6 standards we put in all conditional use permits. Questions? So with that, I have a resolution for approval of this conditional use with the following conditions.
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, Paul and Ross. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, moving on, my second action item is a conditional use permit request from Lake Agassiz Bean, specifically Joel Gasper, parcel 21.00085.01. Applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to expand the site uses, which would allow the agricultural business to continue to operate. The business that operates on this site is a bean cleaning and drying facility. It also stocks seed and things for area bean, to plant beans around the area. They wish to expand the operations to include loading rail cars on the site to ship edible bean products by rail. This parcel is located in our agricultural zoning district, section 24, Fanny Township. So I was approached this spring by Mr. Gasper. Historically, this site has grown in the last 10 years to a pretty big complex. One of the things I did want to discuss today is we do have a section in our zoning ordinance that is very, it's a difficult section to navigate because it talks about commercial agricultural. And most operations today probably fit this definition. When you're talking about a bin site, a dryer, these large complexes, some of the things we typically get into are grain legs and grain bins that are over 100 feet. They already need to do a conditional use permit. So those are some of the conditional uses we get involved with some of these farm related businesses. Now, this business actually started on this site in 2014. We were made aware of some hopper bins going up. I think the first year we permitted a series of 10 hopper bins. It has since grown into a large scale commercial agricultural business. They actually were just notified by the state MDA that they were in commercial status, actually in the fall of last year. So they're a different entity in MDA standards as well. So our conversations this spring were they wanted to get into loading rail cars with edible bean products. Currently, the operation utilizes the Crookston facility to load edible bean products. Right over by the Irishman Shanty, across from the Irishman Shanty in Crookston. With that involves a lot of trucking. They truck this from the Euclid area down 75 through Crookston. You know, they're constantly, this truck traffic volume's going pretty steady. They received a grant from the Minnesota DOT to assist them in doing rail car spur, adding that to this site use. I do have some pictures we'll go over. So that's kind of how I got looped in on this project. Is it has been discussed about loading these out of Angus, out of Euclid, out of where's a better place than Crookston to cut down some of that shipping, trucking, some of those things. Quite the extensive project to put a rail spur in. So that's why they seek that grant. And I had a meeting with Joel Gasper, and I was presented with a zoning certificate that they need me to file that says that they are in compliance with all zoning regulations. That's when we had the tough conversation that we really need to process this as a conditional use for the site. It is very much a protection for Lake Agassiz Bean, as well as for the county to have them hold a conditional use permit. With that are some of those standard conditions about noise, dust control, some of those mitigation standards for other neighboring property owners. They were on board with it. You know, obviously MDA kind of kicked them into a different class. I have no idea why. I don't really care why they kicked them into commercial status. But I just wanted to present this to the board that this is a very gray area as these farm-related businesses grow. You know, they sell seed on the site, they dry and they clean beans on the site. It's a little bit outside the scope of your normal grain storage and your normal crop storage, and hence why we're pursuing this conditional use permit. Again, they received through a Minnesota DOT capital bonding grant. Last year they were presented that they were going to get this grant. So that is kind of what spurs this. We need to construct a rail spur to utilize those rail car services. It's going to cut down a lot of shipping, a lot of truck traffic on 75. And then also, you know, they take in beans. It's kind of like a bean co-op is really what this site use is. It is not just ground that Gasper farms. They are very much kind of this co-op. So really just wanted to explain that in great detail about why now, you know, when they started 2014. I think there's somewhat somewhere between 80 and 90 grain bins out there right now, hopper bins that they utilize, different bean products. So it's grown extensively in the last 10 years. This is the operational plan that we received, what they do. I'm not going to read this in their entirety. It really just is that they take in products and they ship products all throughout the United States. Our hub is basically in the Michigan area for distribution of edible bean products. And so the rail services allow them to get their products down there without having to ship it quite an extensive way.
Where are they? Do you know where the rail spur would go on their property?
Yep, I got a diagram in there. So basically it'll tuck up against this building here. There we go. The spur actually does run all the way from the crossing. I do have some pictures. So this is the crossing, and this really turns into a real minimum maintenance road. 75 is running east, you know, not north and south, but on your picture from left to right here, that spur track would start right after that intersection here and run the parallel of these buildings. They would utilize both these buildings to load products. So it was described that they basically are going to physically load containers in. It's not a hopper or chute that would load them into dry rail cars. They are products that need to be washed, extensively cleaned. They're edible bean products. So they're looking to, you know, market these to bushes and, you know, the stuff we buy. So the cars would actually
bagged stuff that will be
correct. This is edible products. And so they'll be able to utilize, I believe they want to have 10 cars.
That was my next question. How many cars can that hold?
Yep, is 10 cars sitting here that they would load, and then obviously they'd get back on the track and be allowed. They're going to head south. They're not going north. Their hub is out of the Detroit area. So
when you talk about Minnesota classifying or as commercial now, does that obligate the county to do something similar? I'm just wondering.
That really didn't spur it. The uses of loading rail car and things that they're really not specific in our ordinance that, you know, they didn't fall into like a terminal switch track. Some of our other terminology in pushing things into the industrial district, it's just really utilizing just them. You know, I don't foresee them saying, okay, Crookston Bean, you're loading out here now. You know, they're not going to pull away from that. They're utilizing it for just Lake Agassiz Bean, to get rail cars loaded. So
then
it didn't
box cars then?
Yeah.
Containers.
Yep, they're going to be containers within boxcars. Yep. And so, you know, that didn't really spur it. It's just kind of like, I see it as more of a magnitude thing, right? Like we probably, I've told Joel this, we probably should have done this conditional use permit with what you already have out there. You're above and beyond just drying your own beans at the facility. You're a co-op. You know, that's essentially what Lake Agassiz Bean is. So that should have probably already been done. Now we're not treating this as an after the fact. I just coupled in that really action today would be to process them as a commercial agricultural related business in our agricultural zoning district. So this couple pictures here, that spur would be parallel with the existing track here. Obviously they need to meet Minnesota DOT spec and they have I have a whole packet of stuff. This is basically just south of that intersection where that spur track would start and wrap right along these trees here. I think I threw another picture in of parallel of it. Right on the other side of that ditch.
And it would end before it hits this ditch.
Correct. Yeah, it would end at the, it doesn't go much further than this building right here.
Well, he's got to be able to hold 10 cars.
Yep. These are, I believe they're 400-foot long buildings. So it's going to stretch from here to basically where I took this picture, that spur track.
And that's no wetland there on the left.
They'll have to work out that with creating that with Minnesota DOT. Yep, if they have to affect 0.05 acres of what they consider wetland, then they'll have to go through that process of banking credits and those types of things. So our approval today is really for them to operate a commercial related business on the site. We're not approving the rail thing, that's DOT. It will be partially on their railroad right away. So that's the action today is for them to basically have a commercial agricultural entity on that parcel. And looking at this is the current scale of that operation. These are all hopper bins that really take in store. Some are drying. That's this portion here. You know, there's bins, there's solar panels to just permits we've issued over the course of the last 11 years. And they're constantly, every year we're permitting something out there. There's a better picture. You can see kind of the scale. So we did not receive any comments on the matter during the public hearing. Joel Gasper was there. We did add in, it should be in my resolution. I'm going to run to the resolutions conditions because I want to make sure that we added in the operational plan should be submitted. We did receive it. It just was a condition that was added. Yes, number 1, the applicant shall provide a plan of operations. So planning commission and staff recommended approval of the conditional use with the following conditions, that they'll provide a plan of operations, no future development that would exceed 25% impervious. Conditional use shall become void 1 year after it's granted unless used. Well, it's already being used. So but then that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use of enjoyment of property in the immediate vicinity for purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the immediate vicinity. I'll just briefly highlight that they're not impeding normal and orderly development in the area. Adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Adequate measures will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use, and that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odors, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. and that they're in line with every federal, state of Minnesota, and county of Polk rules and regulations. Questions?
If there's no questions, then I'm looking for a motion.
So move.
Ross,
Second.
seconded by Warren. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, then on to another probably newbie for all of us. We received a application for a tower. And we received this application last year, actually. We ran a public hearing. We did additional second public hearing because the first public hearing, what the result was is that they needed to do an environmental assessment worksheet on this particular site. The applicant is Carl Gerber. He's on behalf of Tillman Infrastructure. They're requesting an administrative special use permit and conditional use permit to construct a 355-foot tall cell tower and associated equipment on a property in Russia Township, Section 7, 62-27.00. So,
what section?
Section 7 of Russia Township. It's actually in the, I believe, northeast quarter of Section 7. I got pictures here, I'll give you. Yes, it is in the northeast quarter of Section 7 of Russia Township. So the spurring of a EAW was, it did fall into mandatory EAW criteria because it's actually on an altered public water course. Our staff went round and around with DNR saying this thing's a ditch and our watershed's telling us it's a ditch, but the DNR is telling us it's a public water course that was altered. When you go out to this site, it's very much a ditch. It's straight lined, but they're saying it's the Burnham Creek. And whatever, we worked with the consultant. I have a lot of notes in here about this Burnham Creek Project 43B, kind of the timeline of that project. That project was an extensive project. They did an EIS, so that's even above and beyond environmental impact studies and statements on this to actually make this particular section a impoundment of sorts during flooding. The site is prone to flooding. It's in the 100-year floodplain, and they essentially made this property so it would function as a fully functioning impoundment, the entire section of 7 in Russia Township. It is an area that is bottlenecked with a railroad on the west side and State Highway 9 on the east side, and you have township roads all in between. 2 county ditches converge at the northwest corner of Section 7. And so thinking about this property as far as a development standpoint is this property will never be housing. It will never be ag-related structure sites. It's in the 100-year floodplain and they are needing to elevate equipment. They're planning on elevating equipment about 5 feet on the normal elevation of the site. Kind of go to a couple pictures here before we get into things. This is actually looking east along that ditch. The Burnham Creek. Okay, we'll call it what DNR wants me to call it. The Burnham Creek. That is the Burnham Creek in a nutshell, but this is actually in the section over. It's on the east side of State Highway 9. Moving on the actual tract of land, this is the diagonal portion of the Burnham Creek that is in Section 7 of Russia Township. And then this is actually where a road would be constructed parallel with the creek, and it's basically 400 feet north of where that creek, where the ordinary high water mark is, which is kind of top of elevation of that system.
Is that being farmed right now?
Yep, currently it's farmed. Yep.
That landowner farmer is.
They've that's going to be a lease. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. They're leasing this to a cell company, Verizon Wireless, to construct the tower. So a few more notes on this particular request. This is the tower, the max height 355 feet. Mandatory EAW criteria is within 1,000 feet of a protected water body or water course. They need to do an EAW. So Tillman was very good. They worked with a couple different consultants. We received a report of about, probably 290 pages of a lot of different things. They evaluated historical significance, did some test pits for, any type of artifacts or things out there that, they needed to study in order to do the EAW. They had already done a phase 1 assessment of the site that's required for them to do in their process anyway. So they did the phase 1, phase 2, and then put together all the EAW criteria. The application had over 400 pages were uploaded to the EQB. So I assisted them in uploading those documents. Some of the things, so I will go over the comment period for the EQB. So there's a 30-day comment period when you put an application in, and then state agencies can comment. So basically it's like having a state public hearing for other entities to go in and comment within those 30 days. And I'll go over some of those comments.
How
But
do
we
you find out about these hearings?
you subscribe to the Minnesota EQB. So if you were
I couldn't have went and complained
DNR.
about this if I wanted to.
You can complain about it now.
Oh, don't worry, I'm
You
coming.
won't.
It's coming.
So the EAW was filed on April 21st of this year for that 30-day comment period to open up. Comments that we received. So Stephanie Clam, area hydrologist, this comment was an extensive comment, just basically saying that this is a public water course. The one thing about this stretch is the public benefit of that comment or that section of river is you couldn't kayak it, you couldn't do anything on it. It's entirely on public property, and you really wouldn't be able to even navigate it with anything. Those pictures that I took were in the spring of this year when the water was actually at its peak. Obviously, the site does flood. It's in the 100-year floodplain, but the engineering specs and things, they've factored that into the project proposal. So this long comment from Stephanie was basically saying that this is a section of altered public water course. They're still treating it as dual regulation of a public water course. So one of those comments that we did get in the EAW comment period was Owen Baird, who's the regional environmental assessment ecologist, stated that the Minnesota DNR has received the EAW submittal and offers the following comment related to the floodplain permitting. The proposed project is located within the FEMA MAP 100-year floodplain. A floodplain permit may be required from Polk County from the work within the floodplain. Yeah, we're aware of that. That's why we have elevation certificates to elevate all the electrical equipment well above the floodplain elevation. Jennifer Sorensen, she is the DNR Public Works Program hydrologist. So she's actually Stephanie's boss, our area hydro. She clarified that this segment is a PWI, even though it is a public ditch system as well. Terry Schroeder, Minnesota DOT, he commented that they would just need permits if they're going to expand the access from State Highway 9 into the site. they don't plan to have a extensive access. It's going to be a minimum maintenance access to the tower, when it's all said and done. And then finally, Chad Green, who works for the MPCA in the Environmental Review Unit, commented that the project consists of a 355 telecommunications guide tower for Verizon Wireless and future carriers. So the proposed tower will have a 7.5-foot raised platform for all equipment to be above the floodplain. Additionally, a new gravel driveway installed to give access to the proposed tower site. Regarding matters for which MPCA has regulatory responsibility and other interests, MPCA staff has the following comments for your consideration. Watershed as part of the EAW to identify impairments listed in current MPCA 303D impaired water list. There's a reference to a phase run report. The reference phase 1 report does not identify 2 aquatic life impairments, macroinvertebrates and fish, listed in 2016 as current impairments in the Burnham Creek adjacent to the subject property. Please be aware this letter does not constitute approval by MPCA of any or all elements of the proposed or pending future permit actions by PCA. Ultimately, it is the responsibility of the project proposer to secure any required permits and to comply with any prerequisite permit conditions. So essentially saying the Burnham Creek is impaired for macroinvertebrates and fish. So I'm well aware that there is no fish that navigate this water course. Not to say there couldn't and run in high waters, but there's nobody fishing out there. So with that, Planning Commission and staff, with this, there will have to be 2 motions. It is 1 resolution, but with an EAW, the job of the county board is to determine if the EAW has addressed all the environmental concerns that were proposed. So if somebody made some big comment that this is going to destroy fish habitat and things like that, doing whatever, then that could crescendo into an environmental impact study that would be needed. It's further review, it's further things that open up for public comment. Planning Commission and staff, after the public hearing late last month, recommends that the EAW be approved for the proposed project and recommends that no environmental impact study is needed to further evaluate the environmental concerns on the site. So that was the first Planning Commission motion. The second one was Planning Commission and staff recommended approval of the conditional use permit for the construction of the proposed 355-foot tall tower located within 1,000 feet of a protected watercourse. For the following conditions shall be considered upon approval, and that was mechanical and utility components must meet the Polk County zoning ordinance standards and our floodplain elevation standards. What that's talking about is equipment must be elevated well above the base flood elevation, so 1.5 feet higher than normal standards. The project or the proposal and looking at the elevation certificate, it would breach State Highway 9 before it would touch any electrical components on this site. That the installation is secure from the public and does not create a potential public hazard, and that the conditional use shall become void 1 year after it was granted unless used, and then all the other criteria that were the 6 standards we put in on all conditional use permits. Questions?
Go back up to the public hazard. That the installation is secure from public and does not create a potential public hazard. Well, I have a problem with 5G, 6G, 7G, 10G, all of these Gs coming. Okay?
Okay.
Whether they can deny it or disprove it or whatever, that poses a public issue. I'm opposed to these types of things. Yes, we all have these crazy devices that require all this power and all these megahertz and gigawatts and all of these stuff that affect human beings. None of that is addressed here except for that line, that the installation is secure from the public and does not create a potential public hazard. Yes, it does. Nobody ever talks about that when we're building these things. There's so much energy out there flying around, and it poses a hazard. Maybe it's my own opinion, it ain't. There's plenty of resources out there that you can look at that the more we do with this, the more we have, the more of a public hazard it is. It's got to stop somewhere. But it ain't going to stop here in Polk County. But the world is in dire straits. It's killing us from the inside out. It's boiling us. It's my own opinion. I have plenty of things I read all the time about this, and you're telling me that the installation is secure from the public. It does not create a potential public hazard. A potential.
So the one thing is that we wouldn't factor in like microwaves and things like that going through people and those types of things. Is the standard about secure from the public and does not create a public hazard would be somebody that couldn't come to the site and climb the tower or do something. They're not, it's an access thing.
I understand.
And then the other potential hazard would be is if this tipped over.
I understand.
If it flopped over, would it be detrimental to somebody? Let's just say it fell over in a windstorm and you have a state highway there and it's laying across State Highway 9. That is a hazard. That's the hazard that we're talking about in our regulation, because that is snipped straight from the ordinance. I can assure
nowhere
you,
in our ordinances when you guys are passing this address this is what I'm getting at.
The
You've already
waves and the 5G, 6G, 7G, 1000G. No, we wouldn't have that expertise.
Correct.
So what that is, is we're evaluating the setback of that tower.
I understand.
So,
I understand. But it's not being addressed is what I'm getting at. And you already approved it. And we went through this before.
Well,
when you already recommend approval, if we don't, we're subject to. You get where I'm going with this.
The thing with the recommendations is that's my job, is to recommend to the board what I feel, how it fits in our zoning ordinance. Does it meet the standards of our zoning ordinance? And have we gone through the proper steps in order to either approve or deny it? The approval and denial is your guys' decision. I have to recommend something. If you want me to start blanketing my recommendations and say, I'll let you decide. I don't know if the county administrator wants to weigh in on that.
If I understand, the planning commission has approved this, so.
Recommended to approve.
Which means that the conditions as far as our ordinances are written have been met. So
I understand.
The concerns of Commissioner Reese, I think, should be noted, but it's a negative board vote would appear to be acting outside of our ordinances. And I Commissioner Reese understands this. And so there really isn't any recommendation. It's Jake's recommendation is to the planning commission, which is then goes to the board, but you'd have to actually go through and come up with counter conditions for the what's been applied for. The property owner has a right to do this with these conditions.
I understand.
And so that the public hearing in the planning commission, you all have a representative on. That's the step, right? Like that's who runs your public hearing in order to get to this step.
Yep.
And then the final step is you guys voting on it. And so to me, I guess to get to this step, we have to make a recommendation. That's our job as a planning commission and staff, right? Does it fit in line with the zoning ordinance standards? And if it didn't, then the recommendation would be denial with the following reasons. So if you are going to make a motion ever for a denial of a conditional use or any type of plat or anything, then it needs to be very specific on which section of the ordinance or which standard it is not going to meet. So
basically a public statement opposing it because of that. I understand where the rest of it goes, not much you can do about it because it ain't even in our ordinances to address those issues.
yeah, but
I understand.
the one thing I'd think about is just this is okay, so we're talking about this site that required an EAW and required all these extra steps to get to this point, which is all good. But let's just say we were in the section east of here and we were 1,000 feet from the Burnham Creek on the north end of a field. We wouldn't even be going through this process. We would be issuing the permit for administrative special use permit. And that would be a 30-day comment period. If we didn't get any negative comments from the township property owners around it or the DNR or whoever we need to notice it, the DOT, we would actually issue that permit. You would issue that permit after that 30-day comment period. So keep that in mind is like, if moving it to a different property and then you'd say, yes, that's the spot for it, that just falls back on your comments, like just not liking 5G, 6G, 7G and where we're going. I agree with you. Kids and phones, and that's an issue. It's a big issue.
But it's
Us
too
on the
big for
phone
here.
all the time. But it's not a zoning ordinance standard, and it's really not a thing I can say, I can pull this ordinance standard and say we must address. It's more of a, it should be in our big planning document, our comprehensive plan, which there's nothing in our comprehensive plan that.
There's gonna be more of these towers coming up all around the county. I know there is. They're gonna be every 20 feet if they get their way.
Well, the one standard we do have that they need to meet is that there isn't another tower they can utilize within 2 miles, a 2-mile radius, so we do have some zoning ordinance standards that do help us a little bit. That, you can't have a tower and then a mile over, we're going to put another, AT&T wants to put a tower. And the reason behind that is these towers are to share equipment space, right? It's like a lease of a spot, really, because they should be put in places they're needed and not overdone. There shouldn't be one every section, and I don't think there's a need. I did have a conversation with a neighboring landowner, Robin Brecken. He's an area landowner right around the site, and his comments are, it'd be nice to have better cell coverage in our area because we are kind of a little blanketed there for whatever reason. But he said they could do it on my property if they want to lease from me, whatever. So keep that in mind. If you could just pick up and move the project and say it fits better here, then I don't know that it's a hazard to the public unless it would fall on a road or do something bigger magnitude.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, it's not our responsibility to control and, everything that goes on. I mean, there's just some things that, because I see that down at the state so much that, someone comes with a problem. Well, then all of a sudden you got the legislature is trying to, put together a law that, prohibits that. And, it's people just need to be able to live and make decisions for themselves.
Yep. This landowner was approached by Verizon Wireless, basically. I mean, it's Tillman. They're a consulting company, is what that is. They're the ones that assisted in doing the paperwork and doing all the things for the EAW, and as well as myself, uploading that. And, basically told them I have no idea what comments we're going to get. Like, this is opening Pandora's box. We never do. We don't know if we notice it to our area landowners in Polk County. What that does is, how does this affect you? And that's the biggest thing is, as an area landowner, the biggest one is, how is this gonna be injurious to your property? How is this being here gonna affect, all those things with your property? So, and those are the things we gotta take into consideration and weigh.
And
That
that's-
public hearing is at, our facility and the planning commission. So typically we weed out a lot of things at those public hearings. They don't have an easy job. Like, probably all but Commissioner Papp have witnessed a public hearing, and maybe we should have you at the end of June.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I will not be there because I have a AMC Board of Directors meeting in the city, so.
it's on the 26th, June
You'll
26th.
have to email me.
Yeah.
I'll never remember.
Yeah.
Well, when I get the
Packet.
the packet, I'll pass it on. But yeah, it's, and just, I mean, this is only the tip of an iceberg. And, because we know that we've got those solar panels out there. So and that's a can of worms.
Minnesota's been aggressive with their environmental goals.
Mhm.
Too aggressive. But
Yeah,
that's my
okay,
opinion.
so, looking for a motion to approve this CUP.
So move.
Chair,
You still got,
can we do the EAW motion first?
okay,
I have them in the resolution that it's one resolution, but I was hoping for two action.
Okay.
And the first one would be that the EAW be approved and that no further environmental impact study would be needed for evaluation of the site use.
okay, so I'm looking for a motion for that.
So move.
Okay, Ross,
Second.
seconded by Warren. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, now on to the conditional use permit.
So move.
Ross,
Second.
seconded by Warren. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Well, that's all I have today. I do plan on being at the next board meeting to do some updates on the school.
Okay. Is
We're gonna
it,
save that for a different
yeah,
board meeting. I figured I had enough time.
going out for bids or?
We're getting close. We got a large document put together. We're still navigating through a few things.
Yeah, someone had asked me if it would be taken care of by the July 4th weekend, with
Oof,
the celebration.
that
and
would
I
be
said,
so aggressive. No.
Yeah, that's, when someone had initially asked me, I thought, oh, yeah, possibly, but it's just, so I had let one of the people know that was planning something on the lawn there that they need to go to Plan B.
And with that, some of the wrinkles, just really brief, like 30 seconds here. We are trying to accommodate some of the brickwork and some of the things on the building. So if that goes to a park nearby or something or on the site, I've asked Widseth that, can we try to accommodate some of these things?
Yep.
Somebody had requested the bell get moved or this
Yep.
get moved and so
Yeah.
I don't think we'll spend county resources to do that, but we should at least explore it and then I'll be able to present it. So the structural engineer said he doesn't think it's gonna fall again, further fall.
Yeah.
Now, weather
Yeah.
is weather.
Yeah,
So-
it's, because there's a lot of history, so.
Yeah. And we wanna try to.
Some coffee to hang on.
Might be worth money one day.
Yeah,
That's fine, yeah.
my picture's on here too. We can sign.
No,
It's one of the names.
I'll get coffee.
It might be out now after that.
I have to ask Tim what the headline means.
On yours?
No, yours.
I
End in
wasn't.
sight.
I wasn't sure. Neither.
He's gonna be here forever.
I guess so.
No end in
I
sight.
guess so. Yeah, right.
No,
Nope.
no official break.
Said I gotta look. I know the
You're
guy
in
you
charge
talked to, but I'll look at the
We just needed to get up and move after Jake.
Yeah.
Actually, it was Rich that tired me out.
I can agree with everything you say, but
I know.
Yeah, but it's, you
It's
know,
beyond us.
hmm that's outside of
Public comment, that's
our
all I
realm.
like.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah. Okay.
Good morning.
Morning, Sam.
Morning. So I'm here looking to, unfortunately, advertise and hire an elections and forfeit specialist. I was only hoping to come today for some temporary workers, but due to a resignation, we need to fill our elections and forfeit specialist position. Plus, I would also ask that you approve some temporary staff to help with the upcoming elections. There is some additional stuff that will need to be done for this election, such as running basically the government center here as a polling place for 18 days before the election. And then with all the absentee and everything like that come in, all the absentee voting and mail voting that comes in, we could really use the help. I don't know if we'll be able to fill 4, but I would appreciate being able to look for 4 good workers. Just because it may be somebody can work mornings and somebody may be able to work afternoons, or however we could schedule that, instead of requiring somebody to be here for a full day, or for that type of commitment. It's a temporary position, but it's a lot of work during the election season.
How many days does that encompass? The whole 8, just for the temporaries, I mean.
For the temporaries, if we could get them in here late July into August, there's the primary to help with, and all of that. So maybe even, as soon as we could start advertising and looking for them, getting them in and training them. There's just things that they need to go through and learn. And then, like I said, just it's going to be training a new elections and forfeit specialist as well, which is going to be a process. And
so it could be about 4 months of temporary work.
Yep, with covering 2 elections. The July, August, September, October into early November.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for.
pretty much budgeted.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To approve.
Okay. Warren,
I'll second that.
seconded by Paul. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Sorry about your
Yeah.
loss of employees.
She's been really good, and it's so good. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But we'll get through it. We've got other good staff that will help us through. So the next part is a second easement request from the Department of Transportation. This one is actually on the Government Center building. Here's on the map where they're looking for it. The last one was to the left, the south of where they're looking at for this one. We're in here, we're over in here. And so the last one was this parking lot over here. So now they're looking at this area. So it would be for the Government Center parcel is the one that they've requested this temporary easement with the same time frame of December 1st, 2028 or before. And so they can complete their project. As you see, it does say except the retaining wall, the flagpole, and landscaping. So down by the sign and everything. That should not be touched.
And they're just removing the 4-lane, right?
To be honest, I haven't heard much of what the project is. Chuck, do you know?
Well, you can see over there on Broadway to the which would be the south, that they're turning a lane into a parking lane, and then they're kind of redoing the curb structure So it's a little more, I guess in their minds, engineering wise, a little more clear as to turning lanes and so forth. And a lot of this has to do with, you go down a few blocks to the old Tri-Valley building.
Yes.
And that turn there, which has been a nuisance for decades. So they got basically do the whole thing and then it just comes right up here.
So
Did I hear on the radio this morning that there's demolition is in the planning for the old Tri-Valley Opportunity Building?
I have not heard that.
I heard it was something was discussed last night at the Crookston City Council, but I don't know details. I didn't listen to
I
it.
thought I would be in favor of that demolition now.
Wait for it to come to you because there's more to it than just being in favor of it.
Yeah, but so what I'm looking for is approval for the chair and I to sign the temporary easement.
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, Paul and Ross. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, and the final thing I have is a request to reauthorize me as the, what do they call it, the Iowa, the identified official with authority.
I like that.
Right. So
Don't let that go to your head.
yeah. So back in 2024, the MDE started 2 new initiatives or projects, and it's basically the security way they do it is the counties have to annually appoint somebody to be the person in charge of who's able to authorize things through this system. And so Anna Lee does a lot of the school board reporting or the MDE reporting and getting the levies and things like that. So I get to appoint her to do that, and the board I'm asking the board to appoint me to be in that position.
If you want it, you got it.
So move.
Do you want a second, Warren?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more comments on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
We'll see you in a year on that one.
Okay, now the fun stuff.
Do you want to come up at all?
Yeah, sure, I can.
It is kind of an HR related thing, and Stacy's here. They both helped, of course, in this a lot. I couldn't do it without them, and there's a lot to this, and so we made the board aware of this at the last meeting. We reviewed it in the closed session because we will be going to the labor groups, assuming that the study is adopted, but just wanted to kind of go through it. We go through a market study every 3 years. Last March, you gave us the counties to compare to, just modified a little bit from the counties that we had been using beforehand. Working with Tessa Melvin at DDA, and I misspelled Drown, it's DROWN. She actually conversed with me last September and had an idea that did not play itself out as this went, but there's a little bit of residue in her report from that conversation. But essentially, what this is comparing wages for positions that the county has with these other counties that are in the report, and where we sit relative to their range of compensation for comparable positions. One thing we noticed, and I got stuck on a little bit, is sometimes we'll have a position that doesn't actually show up because we have maybe a unique position that isn't comparable to any. So I can think of a couple off the top of my head. I always use John Steiner's position. There really isn't another position like it, so certainly not within our group. Anyway, the idea is, as proposed, is a 2% lift to the grid. July 1, this would move most of our positions to within 10% either side of the average for the other counties, the comparable counties. We did have some discussions, and this may be why her initial thought changed a little bit, due to the lifting of the wage cap by the legislature, essentially meaning that all local government positions were tied to the governor's wage, unless they had special exemption from the legislature. That has been changed. So as you'll see, we've had a lot of professional positions going up in compensation over the last couple of years, and that's certainly noticeable when I see advertisements out there for positions like myself, county administrators, city administrators, finance directors, HR directors, and engineers. So some of that has been taken into account. And really, we're going back more closely to where we were just a few years ago when we had 26 grades. We probably shouldn't have really left that in retrospect. So because of that, we'll have a few positions that we have to regrade. So there's 18 of those positions. We already regraded some of them for the 2026 budget in the attorney's office and in, which were the other ones? Finance. And that's an example, a living example of what it takes to get somebody in this market right now, and glad we've got Stacy. The other thing I'll just note is that our spread for our ranges on our grades is 27%. Each step is a 3% increase. The first four steps come in six-month increments, and then it's annual after that. So we're a little more compact than the other counties. Let's see. When we move people, move the employee onto a new regraded grid, what we've done in the past and what we would do this time as well is to assure the 2% for almost all of the positions. There's going to be a couple, mine included, that don't have that because of you move back in your grade and now you're going through steps again, and it just didn't seem reasonable for some positions to have that additional 2% and then another step coming. But for most employees, they would just stay where they are on the grid, but the grid moves up 2%. For the ones that move to a new grade, they would be placed on the right step. It's important that we actually have them on a step to facilitate wage changes going forward, plus managing for anniversary dates and so forth. All this, everything I'm talking about has taken many hours of conversations internally just to make sure we're on the same page when we look at this. The sheriff and the county attorney were included in the study, but they are not subject to a grading process. So those are arrived at separately, and you'll notice later in the draft resolution that I do not have numbers in there, but I will pending consideration of adoption of the grid. Our estimated cost, I say estimated because, as you've seen already, our workforce ebbs and flows. People are coming, people are leaving, so the actual cost changes. Even Tessa's report had it at $249,000 overall. We estimated at $262,000. I think she just divided a year in half, but there's actually 3 more work days in the second half of the year, if you want to continue to use the term half. So that's a little bit different. Those will be split out amongst all the funds that the departments reside with. Social services with social services, sheriff's department with public safety, public health with public health, general fund departments with general fund, and so forth. Some of those departments actually bring in revenue based on wages. Social services is the main one. So this is an expense number. It is not a revenue number. The revenues would less than that. I mentioned the 27% spread. And if this is also for 2025 data, so we're already starting to get past some of the relevancy of the data, but that's kind of the nature of this stuff. So here's the actual report from her. Just a little background. We got our positions, our grades, our current step 1 wage, and as the min and the max is the step 9. The bench min and max is the average of the other counties and where we are relative to that average. So anything between 90 and 110% is generally pretty good. And even if we're a little bit below or above that, we're close, because at the same time we're trying to compare all positions to each other for pay equity, meaning that there's values that go into these grades. This is kind of the internal vertical comparison for points. We're going to probably want to go through this again in the next 18 months from that standpoint to make sure that we're remaining compliant with pay equity. And I think that next report is probably due January 2028. So if you see something in pink, it means that it's low. If you see something in green, it's high. So this is as is right now. You're seeing a lot of pink. We see some green. Some of these positions, we already know why. Generally speaking, for all patrol deputies, we're compensating them at grade 13. We have the positions at 11 and 12, but nobody's really in them. They're being serviced by deputies. The investigator is actually kind of an odd one, because our contract language, this is more of a duty assignment. The individual gets halfway between their position and I think a sergeant position. It just depends on where they are on the grid. And once they've completed that designation, they go back to their prior duty. So that isn't as comparison as it would appear. Now we start getting into some of the higher graded positions. You're going to start seeing some green, but also some red. Our computer folks right here, of course, that's been a challenge. We're relatively stable there right now, so even at 111% for this position, I think we're in a healthy position there. We've got the HR director and the MIS director. I kind of anticipated these ones coming because our grades have been relatively low, and I see what those call for in advertisements around the state. That's very competitive. So we're sitting pretty well right now, but we need to make some actions there. Here are the attorneys. The sheriff was in this. This one kind of surprised me. Talking with Jim a little bit, it did not surprise him. So I've had some discussions with him, and I'll get to that later. But there's a lot of under the 100% here, which means below average when you get to these upper management type positions. This is just a graph. Our spread is the red lines, and where we compare to all the other counties going forward. A little hard to read here. I won't dwell on it, but so her recommendation, and this is, I'll just note this, she said cut one step, that would have been a 3% adjustment. That was what she was thinking about last fall. Once we kind of discussed the need to deal with the grades and make sure that this remains affordable, but she didn't change it. But that's why it's in there, so it's a little misleading. She references the salary cap that was changed, and the reclassifying, regrading gives us 25 grades. So here are the actual grade changes. The attorneys, we've already done those. Chief deputy would go up a grade. County administrator was top 22, goes top to 25. County assessor went up. We had some discussion on this. A lot of county assessors are actual department heads. The county assessor here is under the director of records, but it still warranted a change. Again, we've done a lot in that department to advance the employees that we have, give them opportunity to test up and move grade wise. So this one seemed appropriate. The attorney and the engineer, again, the attorney doesn't actually apply to this, but the engineer certainly does. That's a tough position to find in counties. The sheriff, again, kind of coupling on what you saw with the chief deputy, and what doesn't show up on this list is also the captain, but that is a regrade as well. Environmental Services Director is John Steiner, in a very unique position. The Finance Director had already gone up. Coming down here again, it's all in alphabetical order. Another attorney position. Actually, this is the HR Director and HR Generalist. So I think what we've seen certainly in doing the payroll is the need to be more proficient at that, and that has certainly helped standardize a lot of what we need to be doing for HR data positions, so forth. MIS Director certainly seemed warranted. Again, I think some of these are relatively easy. Public Health Director, sergeants, and Sergeant 2. Some of this is due to just the movement, and that once you do one, you need to kind of do the others. Yeah, Elisa said compression. That's really been the issue at the upper end of the grades. We need to spread it out some more. So you're just going to see these going up by one. I think we have one Sergeant 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Social Services Director up a grade. That's basically it. So now when you compare that min and max for us with new grades, new after the 2%, you start seeing here's where we will be going. And there's less pink. There's still some, but there's less. I think a couple of these we may need to be looking at the job description and seeing where the points are. But you're starting to see it, particularly at the max, which for Commissioner Pape, we have been trying to get the minimums up, and some of that is, because we have a hard time hiring for like transfer station work and things like that. Start rates. We've also tried to do some things on the health insurance, since that is kind of a flat per employee benefit. Of course, we're going to have to deal with that now that those costs have gotten so high, but we've tried to make those entry level step one positions when they're vacant to be more attractive to applicants. We've had difficulty in finding basic positions. I think we've succeeded in that. But that's now in this, what you're going to be seeing a lot more or less pink, but the max then becomes somewhat of a concern when you start getting up into the higher grades. So the environmental technician, we've got some good ones. This one is a little bit low, probably needs to be looked at again. Why is it graded at a 10? Let's go, come on. We get into deputy assessor. This kind of reflects what I talked about with the county assessor. Again, it's still moving in the right direction, but still low. Yeah. Our engineering techs, we've had trouble finding those, and we may still, even though we've kind of increased this. And in the back of my mind, I am keeping in mind that we have 2 COLAs after these comparable numbers. So our next study should show what the impact of the 4.25% COLA for 2026 and next year's 5% should be. So some of these may take care of themselves that way. Now you're seeing a yellow one here. That's one of the regrades. Again, we've got deputies here, investigator. That one kind of remains an outlier, but that's how we do things, kind of odd. We've certainly done some things in Sheriff's Department the last couple of years to help be more attractive for hiring there. But now you're starting to see a lot of white, which gets us kind of on the right side of things. And come on, let's get this thing moving here. And then you get up into the higher grades again, and this is where you're going to see a lot of the grade changes, simply because we go from 22 to 25. Yeah. So as we get down here, the top grades, these ones are pretty much the new ones, and we're still fitting in for the most part. The engineer's a little high, but that's going to be a very difficult position to fill when the time comes. And some positions we kind of know what the future may be on them, or what they're going to get another look, but generally thinking, I think this puts us in a pretty competitive position. It actually puts us right at 100% of the average for the max amongst our counties, and we're 5% over average at entry level. So the new grid, actually, I have to admit, I've looked at some of these. We might be off a penny in a couple of these from the calculations that she actually calculated this a little bit differently than the one that she gives us for rates. But grades start 6 month, 1 year, 1.5 years, then annual after that. That's just the first 9. I don't know why this is so bulky, but here are the rest of them. And then her number, 249, but again, we think she calculated it with a 50% split rather than the 3-day thing. We couldn't quite figure out why it was a little different, but I think that came up with it. You've seen when I do the budget, the draft resolution for non-represented people. So this will be a variation of that that I present, assuming that you accept the DDA report. I'd bring this to the board next meeting, and essentially approves the grid, the new grid with the grades. There's some explanation in the whereases. Then the positions that have to be adopted by the board for regrades right here. These ones are all the exempt non-union positions. And then you recognize where the administrator, the attorney, and the sheriff are, with the methodology of movement in a new grade for the administrator. That moves to step 5 of grade 25, which is right here. And if you're interested, that's a 15-cent an hour increase for the incumbent, myself. But I do have grade changes then that start happening annually in August. So there will be changes there. That's what would come if the report is adopted. The other side of this is our collective bargaining groups. What we have done in the past is we have offered them memorandums of understanding that there's a new grid. And if there are a couple positions, we have those law enforcement ones that move in grades. We note those. Elisa would work with our labor attorney to draft those up and submit them to them. I mean, I think for continuity, July 1st effective date would be in order. It can take a little while sometimes to get those back to us. And there can always be questions. It's part of working with unions. It is a negotiation. Just because you're paying more than you were before doesn't mean that they don't have to just accept that. They can say things. But generally speaking, it's going to be, we want to move the grid 2%. I think this will set us up fine. I believe it's best to do these in the middle of our 3-year window of contracts so that it doesn't get mixed up with negotiations. This time next year, we'll be starting negotiations for 2028. And hopefully our comparables work in our favor. Any questions?
Nope. Okay, so then looking for a motion to approve the market analysis and proposed pay grid adjustments.
So move.
Ross,
Second.
seconded by Warren. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appreciate it. We got about 60% of the work done. Now we got to actually do the rest of it with labor and payroll. HR. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
Anything else?
So that's enough.
That's enough.
Last day to file, they have till 5.
Last day to file.
Yep.
Tomorrow or Thursday is the AMC District 3 meeting in Halleck. It sounds like I got 3 of you for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if Gary's coming or not.
8 o'clock, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
City Hall.
Yep. Yep. So, okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then we are adjourned for